Limited. Dailies is Melody 107.7 FM. Now, from the pages of Nigeria's top newspapers to your radio.
It's from the Dailies, your early morning companion.
Every Monday through Saturday from 8 a.m. to 8:30 a.m.
on Melody 107.7 FM.
Headlines that shape the nation. Stories from the north, south, east, and west. Brought to you fresh and fast.
With expert analysis, sharp opinions, and sound presenters breaking it all down clearly, smartly, and straight to the point.
Politics, business, security, health, society. Nothing escapes the spotlight.
This is your head start into Nigeria's biggest stories of the day. From the Dailies, news that talks to you. Only on Melody 107.7 FM, Lagos.
From the Dailies on your favorite radio station. Melody 107.7 FM. Stay tuned.
Right, good morning, Lagos. Good morning, Nigeria, and good day to wherever you are listening to us from. It's another refreshing edition of From the Dailies on your dial radio station, Melody 107.7 FM, where we take you through stories that made it to the front pages and inner pages of legitimate Nigerian newspapers that we can lay our hands on. Today being the 22nd day of July 2026. I say good morning to you. I am Matthew Oluwasegun Ijabiken, MOI.
All right, he's not alone. I am Roland Imoyera. Thanks for joining us on this morning's edition of our broadcast. We call the segment From the Dailies right here on Melody 107.7 FM, where we'll get to take you through stories that made it not just to the front pages of the paper, but bring you some of the juicy details from the inside pages of the paper, whilst we bring you some expert analysis along the way. Thanks for joining us on this morning's edition of the program. Don't forget, the studio lines are always open for you to call in to share your thoughts and opinions on the stories that might resonate with you in the course of the program for today. Our WhatsApp platforms are also there for you to drop your comments on any of the stories that we will be bringing to you in the course of the program for today.
We are also live on Facebook at Melody 107.7 FM, where from my end I have The Nation as well as Vanguard newspapers.
And I'll be taking you through stories from the Nigerian Tribune as well as the Punch newspapers for today.
All right, starting with The Nation newspaper, where the big bold one, NSA in November letter to Ministry, PFIPC illegal. And it has this kicker under it. House panel invites Ribadu, Bianca Ojoko, Oyedele, others. You can find this on page 2 of The Nation newspaper. And quickly above the masthead, $500 million World Bank-backed agri scheme takes off. And that's on page 2 for details. Away from that, CBN, stable interest rate to consolidate gains. And that's on page 3 for details. Okay, we have a UK Prime Minister to discuss Tinubu's reforms, and it has another writer under it. We're saying a president to work with a new British leader. All of these are more on the front page of The Nation newspaper this morning.
All right, let me quickly start with this one from the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. CBN retains interest rate at 26.5%. That's on page 6 of the paper. Outcry over expensive graduation fees. That's on page 13 of the paper. I know people that have been crying about all this graduation fees across schools. Most schools are beginning to turn it to a business.
Sincerely,
when you see the outrageous amounts,
and then you see, if somebody is graduating from primary 6, then I can understand, I can relate with that. After all, you've already completed your primary education. Yeah. Then what's his graduation for primary from nursery 2 to nursery to primary 1? I don't understand. Let's educate to it.
Little wonder most states are coming out to put.
Why should you even have a graduation for JS3 to JS1? I don't understand.
The fact is that I think most states are beginning to limit it to primary 6
and SS3,
SS3 as well, and then SS3. You know,
in those days, what we used to have is valedictory service. Do you get? But then, of course, there is modernization now. But then, should you golf up money so much from parents? And some parents have up to 3 children involved in this.
Of course. You know, the fact is that having paid so much on school fees, you know, during the term and books and all, wrapping up this term, you were asked to come and pay for so and so party and all, which is quite an enormous amount of money. Now the fact is that some few weeks later, schools will be resuming again. You are buying fresh books, fresh uniforms, you know, bags, and it's just so much. I think a lot needs to be done to really put a stop.
What some schools used to do is this. You see the graduation, because, you know, again, in December, there will still be end of year party. So what I always do is that they now merge it together. Or most of those people who are in primary 6 would have been in JSS1 already in school. Then they now bring them, you know, along. They invite them. They now do everything together just once a year. So it will not put so much expenses on their parents to be paying twice a year.
All these exploitative tendencies need to be curbed in our system generally, because and then
it also puts some children who are disadvantaged, maybe when their parents cannot afford, you know, so that you don't have a sense of belonging when they are deprived of benefits that come with this jamboree and all of that.
The psychological trauma on the kids can be quite challenging to a large extent. But let me move on to other stories now, still from the education sector now. TED Fund, NEL Fund, UBEC, orders under searchlight as Senate extends Safe School Initiative probe. We've been talking about this Safe School Initiative for a while now, ever since the kidnap of schools children in Oyo State and even across the country. How unsafe now most of these schools are becoming in the country, despite the fact that the federal government has released a huge amount of money to ensure the safe into the Safe Schools Initiative. Right now, well, thank God that the Senate is beaming its satellite now on the TED Fund, which is the tertiary education.
Because sincerely, it now looks like they are now the target of this these perpetrators.
Yes,
you understand? They now target schools, vulnerable people, children, and
now the funds that have been released for this particular initiative. Now, what have they been using these funds for? Because part of the reason why these funds are being given out is to ensure that the schools are fenced. Yes, security in the school. But you still go to most of these schools and you don't see this perimeter fencing. This is just like part of the little things that you need to be put in place to ensure the safeguards, now the safe environment for our students. And this is something that, thank God that the Senate is beginning to beam its satellite on this particular initiative right now. The Safe School Initiative should really, I think we should support the Senate in this particular one. Yes. Moving on to other stories now from the front page of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper for this morning. PFIPC scandal. We're back again, Matthew. This scandal is here with us. All right. Now, ONSA, that's Office of the National Security Advisor, the SGF, Secretary to the Government of the Federation, disowned Adeyemi during 2025 inquiry. That's coming from the Foreign Affairs Ministry. It has the rider, reps to meet Minister of Justice, Accountant General today. That's on page 9 of the paper. I think tomorrow, and the ICPC is also meeting most of these key officials from the federal government who have been indicted one way or the other. Different ministries, department and agencies, they've been making allegations, counter allegations, disowning, and everybody's coming out to disown. Dissociate. That's the word. Dissociate themselves from those ongoing. But the fact is that this brings to fore the negligence in our service, in our civil service, because so many of these things, if due diligence had been followed from the onset, if somebody has taken time to cross-check, to verify, to fact-check, most of these things wouldn't have been,
Some people have actually compromised in their duties to do these things, because some people have been saddled with the responsibility to actually do all these checks and balances to make sure these things are being ensured.
Yeah, himself came out to say he actually lobbied for his budget now to make its way into the budget for that particular year. He said he even promised to. He said he did not give bribes per se, but promised to give jobs. So people that
even that word saying lobbying. If you say you lobby, there is more to it.
I don't think there's any idea that they don't lobby. In the system generally, I think it's allowed to lobby for you to be able to get one or two. But yes, that's just it. But how can a ministry or an agency that is fraudulent now even be bold enough to start embarking on all this? Definitely. let's go on to it. Allow the security, people starting with responsibility to come out with their findings now. At the end of the day, let's see what they come out with. All right, let's move on to other stories now. Nigeria's gypsum powder market to hit $30.5 million in 2026 and $37 million by 2035. That is credited to a report. Nigeria's gypsum market. Well, I think we have to go and find out what gypsum powder really is. Yes. Now, Edo, Kaduna, Niger, 14 orders at flood risk before July 27. Federal government wants. Matthew, here we go again. Now, this flood, I'm glad that in fact, virtually every year we have this flood alert. But at the end of the day, we discover that most of these states are caught unprepared for the fallout of this flooding system. A stitch in time, they saves now. Yes, thank God that our agencies are really coming out to let us know beforehand that people should be prepared. Not just the government now, individual citizens need to be prepared for what is coming.
If you are saying individuals as well should be prepared,
everyone should do their own part.
Do they know what they need to do to be prepared?
That's why the National Orientation Agency need to sensitize people more. The government themselves need to tell people what they need to do to prevent this flooding. Even in flood situations, what they need to do, to stay safe. They've warned people not to dip their legs in flood waters. That's part of the precautions you can take. Okay. Aside from when it eventually happens, because sometimes these things are beyond your control. We all know what the climate change is talking about across the globe right now, not just in Nigeria but across the globe. You can't really predict the nature of the weather, the climate again these days. It's like this the environment now, the nature is fighting. It's fighting back hard. So some of these things are beyond your control. But when it eventually happens, the one you can do to prevent, you do. But if you cannot prevent, what can you do to help yourself and stay safe, during this particular period? I think these are some of the things that the National Orientation Agency and other governmental bodies now need to really look into to sensitize the public in this context. Yes. Now, moving on to other stories from the front page of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. This is a rather cheering one. Troops rescue 27 kidnapped victims. Foil abduction in Sokoto. That's on page 27. Yes. They are becoming proactive. We've been emphasizing on this program the need for our security architecture to be proactive than other reactive in most cases we've seen in the past. Well, thank God in this one, they've been able to rescue 27 kidnapped victims and the foil abduction in Sokoto, which is a very good one. We should give them their flowers for this particular one. Now, tension items at Anambra as suspected gunmen kill 4 elders of same parents. This is rather sad one. And I'm sure that, tension items in Anambra as suspected gunmen kill 4 elders of same parents. Imagine the loss, even if they are elders, even if no matter their crime. You can, for a family to lose 4 siblings, it's quite a huge loss. And I just hope that perpetrators of this heinous act should be arrested, prosecuted, and made to face the justice that they truly deserve in this context, because no life is worth to be lost in all these tensions now that's been rocking all parts of the country. Now, from the front page of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper, fresh crisis rocks Ondo Assembly over alleged 44 million naira Osopadek fund. Speaker denies allegations, demands evidence. That's on page 21. Africa now world's hunger epicenter with 309 million hungry people. Matthew, this is coming from the World Food Security Report. It's on page 22 of the paper. A lot needs to be done to curb hunger in across Africa, even in Nigeria. If you hear the alarming figure that's been coming out of people that are going without food in the country. What is our
government also doing to improve the economic standard of living of the people?
Now, the government have been all over the place telling us that their reforms are heading in the right direction and they're going to yield positive results.
It is affecting the average man, the common man.
Do you know we say this every day? Their policies should be designed in such a way that it will make life easy for people.
Exactly.
Because yes, they say it's going to be felt in the long run. But what about the immediate effect? People are going below the poverty line instead of coming out of the poverty line in the country. People can barely afford 3 square meals in a day. We all know the situation. And the fact is that people in the position of authority seem to be cut off from reality. There's this divide between people in the position of authority and the ordinary man in the streets. You as a journalist, I as a journalist, we interact with these people on a daily basis. We go out there. In fact, we even know what we go through ourselves. I don't see mute from this, but we know what is being felt out there. And when you get to interact with these public officials, when you get to hear them speak during interviews and all, it's like they are really cut off sometimes.
Why would they not be cut off? Now, we don't seem to have had leaders, actually. I would say we have rulers. Leaders are the ones who have who are not disconnected or dissociated from your realities, who know the pain you are feeling. Are they patronizing from the same market that we all go to? Is it truth now? They can afford all of this, so they really do not know how this thing is affecting us. So we need leaders, not just rulers. In this regard,
leaders, not rulers.
Yes,
that's a very strong one coming from MOI this morning. All right, we'll be rounding up on the Nigerian Tribune with this one from the health corner of the paper for this morning. Health: eating more beans, soy / high blood pressure risk by nearly 30%. That's related to a study. Eating more beans and soy / high blood pressure risk by nearly 30%. That is credited to a study. So, well, if you want to slash your, I think you should eat more of beans. I think soy.
But that's also messy.
Is that what you're saying, Matthew? The research has proven that, has shown now that it helps to reduce blood pressure risk by nearly 30%. So I think it's what people really take their health seriously and need to look into. But also the stories we can bring you from the front page of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper for this morning.
All right, I have with me the Vanguard newspaper this morning, and the big bold one is saying, reps to answer. Explain why you ignored alerts on PFIPC, and it has a few kickers under it. Saying demand answers on security lapses. Second kicker is saying issue final notice to concerned MDAs to appear, and the last one is saying we rejected PFIPC's request for collaboration as great state to foreign ministry. Details of this on page 5.
Yeah, we hinted on this earlier when we actually said if most of these agencies have taken time to do due diligence
from the beginning,
if they have paid a second look now, giving a second look to most of all these things, we will not be where we are. Okay, let's look at this one now. They said reps to Office of National Security Advisor now explain why you ignored alerts. So they've been an alert, but it was ignored. Probably they felt it was not something serious and just pushed under the table, or probably one or two people that are culprits in this particular case now. Because I feel as we are getting is that this ministry this is not something that has been in isolation. You have support from major players from across ministries. I think it's like a big cabal which we hope will be unraveled in the course of this investigation. The need for due diligence, the need for people to pay more attention, the need for our civil servants to take their job seriously. Yes. Imagine was it not earlier in the week in Jigawa State? I think it should be the governor of Jigawa State now who got into his office, who paid an unscheduled visit to the state secretariat to discover that as at 11 a.m. most offices were still locked. Most commissioners were not on seats. Offices were not functioning at 11 a.m. on a Monday morning.
You see, it is often said that people do not do what you expect; they only do what you inspect. So what that minister did should be done periodically. Should be done periodically. It should not just be a one-off thing. It should be done regularly.
I mean, the videos are all over the place. I was actually stunned. I had to sit back and look at this. Is a working day, 11 o'clock on a Monday morning, like one of the most productive days.
Just imagine.
Yes, past 11, most of the offices were locked. Offices, staff were not even on ground. If the commissioner was not, that's supposed to be in charge of ministry is not on seat, what about the junior staffs? Where are they? What's happening? And you say these people are not productive. This is most of the times our ministries, government ministries now, you get there and people will tell you what are they really doing. I think a lot needs to be done in ensuring and reawakening the consciousness that this is the only way we can move this country forward. Everybody needs to play its own part. Yes, I think it's a step that we really need to take more seriously in the country right now.
All right, above the masthead of the Vanguard newspaper this morning, CBN retains interest rate at 26.5%, cites Middle East tensions. That's on page 20 for details. Away from that, ECOWAS reaffirms plan to roll out single currency in 2027, and that's on page 9 for details. Moving on, 31 firms emerge winners in 2025 licensing round, and that's on page 20 for details. Okay, xenophobia reps see compensation as South African economy suffers. Do you have something to say about that one?
It's expected because we've already been mentioning it on the program that no country can function in isolation, no matter how good and how strong your economy is.
Especially when
as strong as the United
continent.
States is, it still has to trade with other countries, with other people across the globe for their economy for their what do they call it, their currency and the dollar to even remain, one of the big players in the world scene right now. Taxes, one way or the other, facilitating trade right, left, and center. Having sent these people, out of your country, definitely one way or the other, it will have a negative impact on the economy. What jobs are you creating for your people? Look at it. You send people out. You start people. Your citizens start looting the businesses of these guys. And one way or the other, these things translate back to your economy. So we're not surprised that the economy of South Africa has suffered a great deal in the past few weeks after this sending out people from their country. But these reps that are trying to seek compensation, remember that Africa came out to say some few weeks ago that they are not going to compensate anybody.
No problem.
That Nigerians are still pushing for compensation.
Don't you
trying
think to do the same to some of their businesses in Nigeria as well?
Well, you know how slow our government acts in some kind of situations. I don't know this decision that they are going to take, but I just feel a strong statement need to be passed across that. Look, you cannot do this to citizens. Ghana has been doing it. Ghana has been speaking a lot concerning what they want to do in this context. Just recently, even the federal government actually in the just concluded ECOWAS meeting, and they spoke greatly. I mean, this really brought to fore the need for other African countries to take South Africa to the African Union and to report them to the African Union and call for sanction for this particular country. It's not a good time to be a South African citizen because you're getting bashed right after center. I think I read something somewhere where I think European countries are also placing an embargo on South Africans visiting their country. I'm not too certain yet, but I think I read something about it somewhere. I'm not too sure about it for now. But well, that's just one of the fallouts from all this whole thing.
All right, Nigeria can scale $1 trillion economy on the shaky terrain of weak governance, and that's credited to Vice President Shetima. You can find this of that on page 8. Insecurity. Tinubu approves new army battalion for Kwara. That's on page 27 for details. Away from that, 17 states will experience flooding for 6 days beginning July 21. That's yesterday. And that's accredited. Okay, NIHSA ones, and that's on page 8 for details. Senate extends the probe of Safe Schools initiative to TED Fund, NEL Fund, UBEC, others. All of these on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper this morning.
And I'll be punching it from the Punch newspaper right now. Investors shun 13 oil blocks. NURP RC plans fresh bid. That's on page 19 above the Punch. Moving on, business economist backs CBN's 26.5% interest rate decision. That's on page 19 of the Punch newspaper. Moving on to other stories on the same paper, and from the front page of the same paper, flood disaster looms as federal government warns 17 states. You can get that on page 7 of the paper for today. Moving on now, Ondo Speaker faces impeachment as 21 lawmakers sign notice. Here we go again with all this impeachment. For a while, we've not heard impeachment from the state houses of assembly, but well, let us hope he survives this one. But if he has actually embarked on or done anything that it's not supposed to do, yes, as what's being impeached, I think nobody's above the law. The lawmakers know what they are doing. But let's move on. Let us hope that don't make the state to descend into another crisis. Reps intensify fake agency probe. Give NDAs 48 hours ultimatum. House tightens news on NDAs accused of frustrating phantom agency investigation. Bianca Oduku summoned as foreign ministry honors Tuesday's appointment. Why Femi Falana withdrew as Adeyemi's legal representatives. Oh, more trouble for him. Moving on to other stories, federal government floats 729 billion naira power bond in August 3rd. That's on page 20. Defense minister denies quitting, threatens court action. Okay, insecurity. Tinubu okays army battalion for Kwara as NSCDC busts fake Lagos Varsity rescues 107 students. Matthew, this is quite troubling. Since yesterday when I saw this story, I don't know.
Operating university in a 3-bedroom apartment.
And rescues 107 students from across Africa, not just Nigeria. If you see the paying as much as $500-$400.
And they were promised that the school is affiliated with a foreign university.
Yes.
But the thing is this. How can is it that people are gullible? People are so desperate that
in fact,
the university.
If you really read that story further,
placed within a 3-bedroom apartment.
If you read that story further, they have been made to be like the student now. Have been they've been made now to start doing stuff like Ponzi scheme. There's so many products that the school is selling out. By the time you even bring in more students, you get commission for bringing in students. You start selling some other products and all. I don't know. This is a very terrible time. Something as close to us here in Badagry. I just hope that.
I'm also happy that because the details of the news yesterday was saying that even the supposed proprietor is also in custody. Also facing.
Yes. I just hope the satellite will be beamed on other institutions, so-called institutions, satellite campuses across the country, exploiting ordinary Nigerians and Africans in general, because this is something that is really, 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 really troubling. And the final story I want to take from the front page of the Punch for this morning: Senate expands Safe School probe to TET Fund and NEL Fund. That's on page 14 of the paper, the Punch newspaper for today.
All right, on that note, we call it a wrap on today's edition of From the Dailies, Melody on Melody 107.7 FM. Yes, in case you missed any part of today's show, you can go back to our Facebook page at Melody 107.7 FM. Well, thanks to everybody who made it a success. From the engineering section, I have engineer Matthew Forish and his team. And from the production end, Erioluwa Timothy, thank you very much. And from the studio here, my friends in the studio, Precious Ogundeji and Benjamin Mono, thanks for your support. And of course to you, our listener, without you, they can't be from the Dailies. Make it with us tomorrow again, 8 a.m. to 8:30 a.m.